Look, I saw society break down in the LA riots. I was in Los Angeles with the army for 3 weeks. And I also saw what happened in Kosovo. And I know history. None of this is a surprise.
Tell us about how the LA riots kicked off and what was going on and why were you down there?
Well, I had gotten out of the army and I had sold all my guns back in Germany. And I was in
Sounds like a mistake.
Well, in retrospect, I was living in Pasadena, and I went and joined the Cal National Guard, an infantry unit in Inglewood, which is it's a much nicer place than it was back in 1992. And the verdict came down from Simi Valley, where they acquitted the police officers.
That was so Rodney King gets
Rodney
beaten,
King.
cops get off.
Yeah, and trouble started. And I'm watching the news, and I'm new to the unit. I call up, hey, are we getting mobilized? No, of course we're not getting mobilized. I go, oh, okay. I know enough about the Army to pack, but I didn't have a gun. So I'm like, damn. Okay. So I pack. Like an hour later, yeah, we're mobilizing. Get down here. So I got to drive into South Central. Okay? No gun. And I have a Chevy Beretta. Not a Beretta pistol, Beretta car. And I drive up to this LAPD roadblock. The guy's got a Remington 870 shotgun. He comes up to me, he goes, what the hell are you doing here? I go, I got to go to my Army unit. He goes, what, you got a gun? I said, no. He said, you still want to go in there? I said, not really, but I don't have a choice. He goes, drive real fast. Stuff's burning.
Wow.
So boom, I drive in, and most of my guys were from South Central, and they were all packed. The Army, in its finite wisdom,
they had a bunch of guns, right?
They had their own.
Were they like, here you go, buddy?
Well, believe me, I saw more guns there than I'd ever seen in my life. All the military ammo had been centralized at one location because it's easier to count that way. A little hard to distribute, but everybody had guns. And we went out on the street very soon thereafter, and 3 weeks, and it was very ugly. And I was in the battalion commander's vehicle, and we drove around, and it was an ugly scene. But there was no law and order. I mean, all the things we take for granted were just completely gone. Things were burning. People were scared. You had the Koreans on the roofs with their rifles. They knew how to regulate.
Now we're hearing because there's this like rise in hate crimes against Asians. Asians are getting armed like crazy right now.
Good. I support every American owning firearms.
That's the legend of the roof Koreans.
The rooftop Koreans?
Yeah, in the LA riots. Did you see any of that stuff?
I don't remember. I don't think I was in Koreatown.
Right. I lived in Koreatown briefly. It's crazy.
Okay.
Crazy to imagine this. Like I would go for frozen yogurt. I couldn't imagine someone shooting from the roof.
Remember, all these guys were Iraq soldiers, right? They're Republic of Korea. Everybody in Korea does a tour in the military.
Right. Yep.
So they're tough dudes. I mean, they're a real military. They don't play games.
Have you seen these photos? The dude's got a cigarette and he's holding the rifle on the rooftop. These guys.
He had a Me-14 and a cigarette. He's just smiling. And it's like, and they all had military training, and they did not play.
Nope.
And people were like, okay, maybe we don't try and knock off this liquor store. Frankly, I think every American, look, if you are an adult, healthy American citizen who is inclined to do it, because I understand there are people who have moral issues about weapons and violence. I don't in that way. I'm not a pacifist. But if you do, I give you a pass. But I think everybody else needs to have firearms and sufficient training to be able to defend themselves, their family, their community, and their constitution.
Yeah.
I also think everybody ought to know basic medical stuff. How do you stop the bleeding? How do you do CPR? How do you do a Heimlich maneuver? Oh, yeah. I think, look, as citizens, we don't even, we seem to think everything can be outsourced.
Bro, we have become jelly donuts. We used to. Does the average person know how to do CPR? Does the average person know how to tend to a bleed, tie a tourniquet?
No.
Any kind of basic survival, medical, fighting in any capacity. Like, I watch these videos of people getting into fights, and I'm like, what is he doing? Like, they're just like cartoon versions of fighting because people don't know the basics of defense of anything.
Yeah, and this is not about being aggressive and going out and causing trouble. This is being able to do your duty as a citizen to have order and safety in society. If you go to a car wreck, I carry a ready bag in my car, right? So I got stuff. I got tourniquet. I got the blood, the bleeding stop gauze stuff. Some Israeli packet. I mean, if I have to do something, look, I'm not an EMT, but if you've got a sucking chest wound, I'll probably be able to keep you alive till the EMTs get you there.
Do you know why you should carry around a first aid kit? Sometimes it rains. We know it rains.
Yes.
Sometimes this rain causes car crashes.
Yes.
It actually rains quite a bit.
Yes.
It actually causes quite a bit of car crashes.
Yes.
You never know when it's going to be you, your friend, or someone you stumble upon. And, I look at these disasters we've seen just with the weather in Texas.
Yep.
And I'm wondering how many of these people just had no idea because we are so soft.
Yes.
That everything's taken care of for us. We have nothing to worry about anymore. Have you seen the movie Wall-E? The little robot cleaning up the earth,
Yeah.
right? And the big fat humans are in those floating chairs doing nothing, and they're confused. The guy thinks the book is called Manuel. It says manual. He can barely even read. It's idiocracy, man. We are weakening ourselves to the point where we will regret it because we are in a golden age, or we're coming out of one.
Yes.
Where everything was comfortable and we're wealthy and it's just energy everywhere, super cheap. We have the summation of human knowledge in our pockets. We argue with strangers and look at cats on a moment's notice. And for this, we have distracted ourselves to the point where a fire could start in our homes, which is fairly common, and then people will freak out, spin in circles, confused as to what to do. Or my favorite, one more thing. In the Ferguson riots. I'm in the Ferguson riots, and I hear gunshots. The first thing I do, hit the deck. I look to my right, my camera guy, all right on the ground, and I'm like, good man. And then I saw that video from CNN where the woman is live, and they're asking what's going on. You hear gunshots, and she goes, oh. And she's just wiggling her arms in the air like she has no idea what's. I'm like, lady, get behind a building. What are you doing? And then she runs into a gangway between two buildings. And I'm like, it is remarkable they send these people out in the streets. I've watched so many journalists hear gunshots go off and go, those gunshots? And everyone's on the ground. And I'm like, bro, at least you can say when in Rome, right? If you watch people hit the ground after a bang goes off and you're not doing that, maybe there's something you need to understand about what these people in the community understand.
Well, if they probably know a little better. And I like the way that you mentioned Rome, because see any parallels, and it's not a perfect parallel, but the Romans were the height of civilization. And when they were great in the early Republic period, in the early empire, it was regular citizens who went out and made up their army. It was affluent citizens. You actually had a property qualification to become a soldier. You were invested in it. And you would go out and you would leave your farm and you would be gone for 10 years campaigning against, Hannibal or whoever. And and there was greatness. And then that stopped and they started saying, well, maybe Flavius, why should I go? We'll just get, Hans from across the Rhine. He'll come. We'll pay him a few ducats and he'll do our fighting for us. And pretty soon there was Germanic empires.
Yep. And then when the conflict actually comes, instead of being like Spartans, like King Leonidas, killing the messenger and kicking him into the pit, they became the flailing CNN journalists going, oh, they're coming, they have spears, what do we do?
And almost quite literally, when Attila came, they sent like a Roman priest out with a bunch of gold to talk him out of it, which he managed to do. Strangely enough.
Well, so talking about the LA riots, like think about the people there who just took. Think about when everything broke down, who the people were who just went and took whatever they wanted. Those people understood survival, and when there was no rule of law, they said, "I don't care, it's me or you." So they're going to go out and do whatever they want.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I think if you look at a city like Los Angeles, imagine the Chinese take down our water system and our logistics system. Suddenly, the water pumps stop. The sewage system stops because they go in and they wreck the computer code. And the logistics system stops, so you're getting no food. 10, 12 million people with nothing to drink and nothing to eat.
And you know what they're going to do?
Oh my God, they're gonna eat each other.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean literally.
They will be drinking each other's blood in 3-4 days.
It's
people don't get this, man. New York, 2.5 million people on Manhattan Island. If the water shuts down and it's shut down, there was a power outage when Sandy hit and things were very, very disastrous. It was scary. It wasn't as bad. It was only a couple of weeks, but I remember lines out the door of the bodegas, and they had two big guys with like baseball bats standing in front of the buildings, in front of these bodegas, because there was no electricity. It was all cash exchange.
Yep.
Everything that was perishable perished. And so you had lukewarm water and Gatorades and things like that. You could buy the dry goods you could buy or the canned goods. But imagine if it was sustained for longer than that.
Things would get very scary very quickly. I still tend to keep my my cars fueled.
Yeah.
I mean, if it starts getting halfway to empty, I'm like, I just did yesterday.
But it's just, I remember the wildfires in California, which we've had numerous stories of this.
I commanded 2 battalions during the 2007 ones.
What happens if you live in these areas and your car is on, an eighth of a tank and a fire breaks out?
Yeah, you die.
You die. That's why you keep your car fueled. That's why you keep your electric car charged if you have an electric car.
And I mean, this stuff isn't super hard. It's just not internalized because we've never had to worry about these problems. But the problems will come to you eventually. And I think that's
they're
why,
coming, bro.
I think that's why the COVID thing is people's Woodstock. I think they are excited about it. I mean, look, they don't want 500,000 people to die. But it's kind of, there's a little risk, not much. I mean, if you're healthy, you're 99.5% going to survive.
Life's boring.
Life's boring.
Something's
now
happening.
It's exciting. I've got to wear a mask. I remember going into Trader Joe's, and my beautiful wife was with me, and we're looking around at people taking stuff off the shelves. They're not going crazy, but they're loading up, and the shelves were getting empty, and it was a little scary. I wasn't like terrified, but it was like, okay,
intense.
I'm intense. Other people, but people were excited about it, and they were actually behaving very well, and there were a lot of good humor. But it's something different. It's something new. I feel more alive. When I was in the riots, when I was in the war, even though I was so far in the rear after FedEx bullets to hit me, I literally ran a heavily armed car wash. So I'm not trying to come along as Pete Buttigieg or Dick Blumenthal or any of the war heroes. But when you're in a situation like that, when you're part of this kind of massive event that's historical and there's this little element of danger in it, it's exciting.
Yep.
And you remember it. And I'm not going to call it fun, but God, I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
That's what drives a lot of journalism. The reason I wanted to travel around covering these stories was to experience these major historical moments.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, look, I've been skateboarding my whole life. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I used to jump off buildings when I was like 16. So you tell me I can go into a conflict zone and it's meaningful work that's important to a lot of people and you can share their story and tell the world what's happening. And you're running full speed. You're like, it's intense. It makes you feel like what you're doing matters.
Yes.
It gives you a feeling of risk or danger. So you get a reward, mental reward after you've made it through these things. And many of them, I didn't go into war. I wasn't in anything like you were. You said you were in the car wash. Well, I was in civil unrest and civil conflict. Granted, a revolution here and there and some pretty dangerous neighborhoods. I was in the favelas in Brazil. I had some Turkish anarchists hold them a Molotov cocktail to my face, threaten me, but not in anything where it was like enemy factions who would kidnap and murder me. It was mostly like I'd get beat up and thrown out or whatever. But it's exhilarating.
Yeah. And I think people need something like that. I think they seek it. I think they want it. I think there are a lot of people who don't want this to end because it also excuses a lot of things. If you're one of those depressos, I'm not staying at home because I can't force myself to go out and socialize. I'm staying at home because I've got to save lives.
It's an excuse.
It's an excuse, and it empowers them. And and you hear these people, and all it is talking about the vaccines. Okay, I had COVID. I caught it working for the president in Nevada, it was like a bad cold, not a bad cold, an okay cold.
In terms of the severity of it.
In terms of the severity. Now, there are other people who died from it, and it could hurt people. And, of course, as soon as you get it, right, as soon as I got COVID. Oh, I had this friend whose friend was a 21-year-old triathlete, and he got it, and 2 days later, he spontaneously combusted.
So I'll clarify just for the YouTube people who are listening. You're talking about how it felt,
yes,
not the death rate. And I'll clarify because they just deleted one of Crowder's videos for this. The death rate is substantially worse than a cold or the flu.
Oh no!
But they deleted Crowder's
my experience
show.
of it was no. People die from this thing. There's 500,000 people, according to statistics, have died from it. It is a real thing. It is also, if you're in good health, you're probably going to make it.
99.95% for people under 70.
Yeah.
And then when you factor in 70-year-olds, it's 97.5% survival.
Yeah.
So that is.
So it's something.
It is something. It's definitely worse than the flu.
Yes.
Primarily impacting seniors and people with comorbidities.
Yes.
But man, do they love to censor anybody the moment they step out of line on this one.
I'm just telling you I'm just telling you my personal experience with it. But I think a lot of people.
You were mentioning the vaccines, getting the vaccine.
Yeah. I mean, people talking about the vaccine all the time. Okay, and I've been told, even though I had it, I should go get the vaccine. So people I trust.
The problem is that Fauci has been telling people it doesn't matter, and that seems to me to be super wrongheaded. Yeah.
If you actually want people to take the vaccine, because it doesn't make any sense. It's either effective or it isn't. What I've seen says it's effective. So why is he down?
Trump thinks it's effective, but Fauci is telling people that, we don't know, so you just might as well stay home, lock your door, and
he could do a better job.
I want to talk about the political conflict, because you mentioned that we're basically talking about people are not prepared for when things break down.
Yes.
If chaos erupted, you were in the LA riots. I mean, you were in war. I've seen my fair share of riots. I'll tell you this.
Well, look, I was so far in the back, I had to watch flashes on the horizon.
That's more than most people have ever seen.
Well,
in their lives.
The last thing I want to do is come across as Mr. Macho Combat Guy. Again, I ran a decontamination platoon. We did a very good job. I was not a hero. I didn't get shot at. I didn't shoot at.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.